Hey, welcome to GC365. I am so honored to have here my son, Daniel, who is a pastor at Awaken Church. Tell about your church, Daniel. You started this
8 years ago.
8 years ago.
In a marijuana dispensary. And yeah, it's exploded.
Yeah, and you're right now in an ice skating rink.
We're trying to buy an ice skating rink.
Trying to buy one, yeah. In fact, by December, we're trying to pull that off, right? It's going to be
It's going to be the biggest Christmas gift of my life, a $5 million Christmas gift.
So, hey, Daniel, talk to me. In high school, I remember raising you. You didn't like to read, did you?
Just depended on the book.
You like,
but no, heck no.
Right,
no.
but I mean, you liked sports and all that sort of thing together.
Yes.
So a lot of people are watching and they're reading the 1 Year Bible. This has been a long challenge for them. And if you've been with this challenge, way to go for sticking with it. And we have two months left, 3 months left, and you're going to be done in 1 year. You'll have read the Bible. But talk about how you've developed this in your life, the rhythm of reading the Bible. What do you do?
Oh my goodness. Well, in leadership, a lot of times your life falls apart and you realize like you have to have somewhere to turn to have a foundation. And so for me in ministry and especially in Bible college and all that, there's been so many times where I just don't have a clue what to do. And the scriptures tell me exactly what to do. They tell me it's just already planned out in the future. The other day we had somebody left their trailer at our church. And I went out in my own person to tell them either they move the trailer or we're going to blow this thing up. And then the lady said, I'm going to kill myself. And that changed the story because instantly in my heart, I knew God at that moment was calling me to her. And all of the scriptures popped out in my head from all of the different times where someone invested in my life, where someone dumped into my life when I was down. And so instead of threatening this lady, it ended up being a dinner. And we helped her move her trailer off our property. And the most kind, she came to church.
Yeah.
And
then you give her some cards. I've heard you.
Yeah.
So
cards. To me, the scripture is just so exciting. It's like, it's like if it says it, try it, go for it, test it out. If it doesn't work, give it some time because it's never failed. It's amazing.
So if you've been reading these 1 Year Bibles and you're in Isaiah with us, and we're about to go into some pretty difficult readings in the Old Testament because they're kind of negative, and Isaiah can be negative, but in the middle of it, you find some really cool stuff. And that's today's reading. In today's reading, we get in Isaiah. In fact, I want to see what chapter, 64. And the one that stuck out to me and to you as well, since the world began, no ear has heard, no eye has seen a God like you, who works for those who wait for him. That's cool. You that stood out to you too. What was
it stood out to me because I think of the New Testament where God turns around and says to us, "No eye has seen, no ear has heard the plans I have for you." Like that's so powerful, that this idea that we all have a life that we can't even dream as big as God has, and we need to step into that life, but it's unknown. And so how do you do that?
Yeah.
What does that look like? I get excited about that.
Yeah. The second one that really stood out to me was Isaiah 65, which is talking about the final judgment, the final salvation, which you think is kind of negative, but then what you actually realize is that it actually begins to describe heaven. And in verse 17, it says, I'm creating a new heavens and a new earth, and no one will even think about the old ones anymore. Now, I don't know about you, but we're just back from a trip that was an amazing trip up in the mountains, and that it's beautiful there, isn't it?
Yes.
Huge trees and these amazing, and we're going to Thunder Mountain and all the lakes and all that. Creation is amazing. I can't even imagine not even thinking about this world anymore. It must be going to be an amazing thing. How does that hit you? What stands out in that?
Well, the first thing that I think of is that terrible song, I Can Only Imagine, where we're supposed to all dance. I'm sorry, if you like that song, you need to check out.
That song.
There are people that need to re-give their life to Jesus. maybe recommit your life, because dancing and singing for the rest of my life is not what I think God recreated. I think he's going to make it even better. I mean, it's going to be incredible. It's going to be incredible.
I agree. So it's going to be so good that we're not going to even think of this world anymore. That's pretty amazing. I thought this was it. I will create Jerusalem as a place of happiness. You've been to Jerusalem. I've been to Jerusalem. When we're there, it's a cool place, isn't it?
Yeah, it's also kind of a spooky place. I mean, while we were there, a guy got shot. He tried to stab somebody, but it's amazing.
Yeah, it's an amazing place. And there's almost at the Wailing Wall where you sense the presence of God. It's a pretty amazing place.
Yeah.
But when I think of this, the thing that's going to make the New Jerusalem so much better is that God's going to be there. And it's going to change everything. And I like this. No more weeping or crying. No longer babies will die when they're only a few days old. I can't even imagine. Adults are not going to die before they lived a full life. No longer will be people considered old at 100 years old. It's just all of these things. And it's like the rules of our everyday life and all the sadness of our everyday life goes away. I look forward to that.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's just a reminder of that. Now, as you go to the New Testament, what you're going to see in Philippians is an interesting thing. In Philippians 3, verses 1 through 3, it's kind of interesting. Paul is writing to this church in Philippi, and he's warning them. He says, watch out for those dogs, those people who do evil, those mutilators who say you must be circumcised, which is kind of interesting. There was this group of people going around to these Gentiles saying, I have to do something to your body to make sure you're okay. And he called them mutilators. He called them dogs. Watch out for the dogs. Who would be the dogs in our culture today? What do you think of when you think of that?
I think of some of the organizations that are out there that are trying to take the church out. They're trying to sink us. They're showing up. Yeah. But man, that's a tough question.
No, I know.
I mean, inside of the church world, even there's some groups of people that are interesting and can be hard to deal with.
So this is also kind of interesting. We're in this middle of the vax or no vax, vax or no vax, and that's a jab or no jab. And here's Paul saying, it's not about your physical condition that has to do with your spiritual life. And I think he's just saying, watch out when somebody tries to make a spiritual implications on your physical decisions. There has to be something more for that. Then as you go through the rest, Psalms it's an interesting song. There was he writes in here, he says, I try to understand why the wicked prosper, but what a difficult task that is. And then he says, I went into your sanctuary, O God, and I finally understood the destiny of the wicked. And at times it seems like evil wins out, but it doesn't. Never does.
No, it's the opposite of generosity. And when people are generous, they're living the life that they've been called to live. But the wicked are constantly taking. It's the leaning and lifting. The leaners are constantly just taking. And God's called us all to lift. I love that.
This is an interesting verse in our times too. My health may fail and my spirit may grow weak, but God remains the strength of my heart. He's mine forever. Now, as a pastor, you go visit people that are sick. You go hang out with people that have health stuff. But this is pretty powerful, isn't it? There's a big difference between someone who really puts their faith in God, isn't there?
Sheesh. Oh, my goodness. It's hope. There's hope in the future. Like even when your life's falling apart, it's the opposite of depression. I mean, it's just in the future, regardless of what happens to my body, this is not the best that it gets. It gets better than this. And that's life-changing.
Awesome. Well, you can look at the Proverbs. It talks about eating good honey and eating good wisdom. And so I hope you could do that today. But, thank you for joining us. And Daniel, thanks for joining in on GC 365. If you're over in Wenatchee, how do they find you? They can come to church there.
2 5th Street, Wenatchee. We have a Saturday service at 7 p.m. and then a 9 and 11 on Sunday. And then we're soon to be hopefully opening a campus of all crazy things. Wow. And and just go to awakenwenatchee.com and you can
Awesome.
find us. We'd love to have you.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you again for joining us at GC365. Stick with it. You're almost there. We're going to finish strong. We'll see you next time.
Bam.
Cut.